We are thrilled to welcome NFL legend and University of Florida Gator Ring of Honor member, Emmitt Smith, to the show today. In addition to his illustrious 15-year NFL career, Emmitt is teaming up with the Emergent Biosolutions for the second year of the Ready to Rescue program, raising awareness for Narcan nasal spray to combat the opioid crisis. He's passionate about helping others, and Emmitt is using his platform to encourage families and communities to be prepared in the event of an overdose emergency. And with that, we welcome NFL legend Emmitt Smith to the show. Emmitt, pleasure to have you on, my friend.
That's how y'all doing.
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Excellent. Thank you.
Good. Emmitt, we want to talk with you a lot about what you're doing for drug overdose and for Narcan. But I guess my first question to you is, obviously, we're a Florida Gators podcast. How did you end up at the University of Florida, and what was that experience like for you?
You know, I ended up at the University of Florida. First of all, let me take a step back. Being here in the state of Florida, my high school was the Gators. My was as well. So it was a natural segue into the University of Florida. And I started loving the University of Florida back in the early 80s. Charlie Pell, Curran Bell, and John L. Williams, Neil Anderson, Lorenzo Hampton, Frankie Neal, you know, those guys, Walter Odom playing tight end and everything else. And so I was following the Gators at that time and was loving them because of the orange and blue. And plus, my high school was the Gators, like I said. So it was a natural fit there. And so when I graduated from high school in 87, yes, I took a number of different visits. Went to Nebraska, went to Clemson, went to Auburn, and Florida State. Florida State never had a chance. I just took that trip just to appease one of my former high school teammates. But Auburn was the one school that really had a real shot at getting me. And but my mom didn't want me to leave the state. And Florida was her choice. Florida was my sister's choice. Florida was my whole family choice. And so I ended up in Florida, and for 3 years there, it was a great experience. Although we didn't have a chance to compete for the SEC title or anything of that nature, because coming out of the SEC, it was hard to win a national title at that time because the SEC schools were so competitive. You had Auburn, Georgia, Florida was competitive, Alabama was competitive, even Kentucky and Vanderbilt were competitive, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, all of us was competitive. But in Tennessee, not to mention Tennessee. So it was a great time at UF for 3 years.
You will be Mr. Two Bits this weekend, and I want to know how nervous you are. How nervous you are to do that compared to running in the NFL and in the swamp with people chasing you.
You know, I'm not nervous at all about Mr. Two Bits. I love it. I've seen him perform it for many years when I was. However, I am more nervous to watch my kid play against my university than anything else. I mean, I'm going to be on pins and needles watching my boy come through that tunnel in his Aggie uniform. And once he stepped foot on the football field, it's going to be a surreal moment for me because I mean, I remember bringing him to the University of Florida when he was like 4 or 5 years old, let him sit on the Gator and everything else. And in his mind, that's what he was thinking. He was going to be a Gator the whole time. Urban Meyers used to send him all kinds of Gator stuff, and his room was full of Gator stuff. But when it came down to making that decision as far as his journey, he chose Stanford. He went the educational route, and he wanted to come back to Texas, so he ended up at Texas A&M. Wanted to be closer to home, so which I understand and I respect. But doing Mr. Two Bits, that's going to be light compared to what I'm going to be feeling watching him play that game.
I'm a brand new dad, and I can only imagine what the pride you'll have seeing him on a field that you started your career on. So that's very cool for you, and congratulations. And hope EJ does well. We'll wonder how well we want EJ to do versus the final score? Maybe like 220 rushing yards in a tight loss.
Hey, I take that too, but still, I mean, if he rushing for 200 yards against my Gators, and they're not known to go 200 yards rushing, but if that happens, and they're gonna win. They're gonna win the game if that
happens. I'm trying to make the best case scenario for EJ and for your Gators.
Just as that freshman
yeah,
coming to the,
if that happens, that would be.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. As a freshman walking. All right. As a freshman walking onto the University of Florida, your mindset at that time, like in hindsight, we can look back and you're one of the greatest all time in the NFL and also in college. Did everything pan out in your mind as you're walking on as a freshman? In hindsight, did everything pan out how you thought it would?
You know, I would say no, because the reason why I'm going to say no is because I never expected the University of Florida to have so much turnover in the 3 years I was there. We had to learn three new offenses for 3 straight years. So my freshman class and myself, we didn't have a chance to grow into an offense like some people have 3 or 4 years in offense with an offensive coordinator. My freshman year was Mike Helmdinger, who went off and became a coordinator for the Titans. My second year was a guy by the name of Lynn Amity, who came in with the I ain't gonna say it was a broken T kind of offense. It was different. My last year, which was my best year, was a guy by the name of Whitey Jordan. And but then after that year, they fired him. They fired the whole entire coaching staff, which forced me to make a tough decision. Should I stay for my senior year or not? And so one of my biggest regrets is not being able to finish with my freshman class, because that freshman class was what Steve Spurrier built his team off of. The Godfrey Miles, the Tim Polks, the Shane Matthews, Terrence Barbers, Ephesian Bartleys, Tony McCoys, the Tony Riles, the Brad Culpeppers. That was my freshman class. And I didn't get a chance to really finish up what we came in to do as true freshmen. And so that's the most disappointing part. But for the most part, everything else, me personally, I had a tremendous amount of success. And the only reason I had it because I did have great offensive linemen and great teammates as well. Cal Dixon and any other, Hisham Ishmael and Cal Dixon, Glenn Neely. Just some whole slew of people.
Also, if you play that senior year, like the pecking order of Gators all-time rushers is definitely different, right? If you play that senior year, for sure.
No doubt is different. No doubt is different, and it's different because I would have had a year extra to make the yardage go even further, and system with that Steve Spurrier brought to the table, which would have been a little bit more open air, open space, more spread out offense. I'd have been able to have a lot more room. But I'm not going to look back over what could have, should have, would have been, because I think God did what gave me what I needed to have and sent me on to where I needed to go. And I'm fortunate and blessed that my career turned out the way it did with the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely, Emmitt. That leads me to my question here is obviously you have NFL records. You won multiple Super Bowls, but looking back on your time at UF and in the NFL, what's the thing that you most look back at as cementing your legacy, or what are you most proud of during your career?
I think the thing that I'm most proud of is not only did I come back and get my degree, but I think I've honored and represented the university at the highest level that I possibly could. I did not bring embarrassment or shame to the university, nor my family or my high school at all, or my city of Pensacola. I think I've gone on and tried to hold myself at the highest level of integrity and and perform at the most excellent level that I possibly could and represent all of those that believed in me, that trusted in me, that poured into me as well. To me, I'm more proud of all of those things because it's important. You go to a university like the University of Florida, you get your education, and you go off and you want to make something of yourself. And so I think that's the aspiration of most people, wanting to make something of themselves. And I feel like I've done that and established that some of the fundamentals and the principles that was instilled in me at a young age, and those other building blocks that have come on and built on top of those things are still there. And so that's important to me.
On that Dallas Cowboy team, just absolute dogs, legends, man. You know, I grew up in that era. It was 49ers and the Dolphins every year kind of battling out who's going to win the Super Bowl at one time. Who's the ultimate alpha male in that locker room? You got Michael Irving, Troy Aikman, just absolute killers, man. But who was the top dog and leader amongst a bunch of alphas?
Irvin brought all the energy, all the fire, all the intensity, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and Troy brought complete focus and great leadership. I think overall, there were a ton of alpha dogs in the locker room. Some that were more vocal, some that was more action-oriented, but they all had a level of influence that impacted everyone else's and how everyone else perceived them and how everyone else operated and worked. There was a standard that was set, and that standard was set early by our head coach, Jimmy Johnson, in terms of the standard and the expectation of what he wanted from his team. And it was up to us all as players and individual players, including alpha dogs like Irvin and Aikman and others, to fall in line with that standard in order for us to achieve what we wanted to what we set out to achieve, and that was to win Super Bowls. And so, but Irv brought energy, brought fire, brought passion, and everything else. You saw it in his play. Troy brought focus, laser focus, commitment, and dedication to the game. You know, and I did what I needed to do, period, to make things better.
Can I get a second part question to that? What was the locker room like with Deion and Michael Irvin in the same locker room?
You know, it was a great locker room. Most people got this misconception that those egos could never get along. That's not even close to the truth. Deion was an excellent teammate. I mean, an excellent teammate. He was a guy, and most people are shocked to hear this, that Deion was a student of the game. I don't know why people act like he just went out there and played on sheer talent. This dude studied. He studied down and distance. He studied formations. He studied just route patterns, and he understood more of what was happening on the football field, which made him an excellent football player. His talent was great, don't get me wrong, but knowing what to do and when to jump certain things and knowing what's coming, that's half the battle. And that's 90% of the battle. Because I always tell people this: football is 90% mental, 10% physical, period. It's not the other way around. Because the more you know about the game, the slower the game becomes. And with Prime, he was an excellent teammate. He shared information with teammates. He wanted to see other players get better, and he helped them get better too at the same time by just sharing the information that he knew. He taught guys how to practice and everything else. And so I have nothing but kudos to say about Deion and what kind of teammate he really was.
Was there any Big Three college rivalry between you, Deion, and Mike? Watching games on Saturday.
Always.
That was a great time for you.
Yeah.
Well, during the Steve Spurrier era, yes, sure.
Yes.
And the Urban Meyer era, for sure.
Yes.
I made some money during that time, but now I'm losing money.
No doubt.
Emmitt, who was your most hated rival when you were at UF?
Florida State.
Okay.
That makes sense. From Pensacola, all the people back home are Seminoles. That has to feel good for 365 days. You can't talk to me.
We call them semi-hoes. we call them semi-hoes. It's not Seminoles.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, Emmitt, before we leave, the Gators game against Texas A&M tomorrow is sponsored by Narcan, and you are teaming up with Emergent for the second year for the Ready to Rescue program to raise awareness for Narcan nasal spray as we try to stem the tides lost to opioid overdose. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in that program, and then ultimately what got you interested in I guess, Narcan and what Emergent is doing here?
Well, Emergent and I have teamed up, and this is our second year in this process of spreading awareness around the opioid epidemic that's plaguing the country. I got involved because I've had, in my own personal life, had some personal experiences by losing a teammate to an opioid overdose. My sister-in-law was dealing with stage 4 cancer and accidentally overdosed on some of the pain meds, trying to alleviate the pain, not only once, but twice. And so seeing it up close and personal, understanding how it can not only impact the person's life or family's life, but just seeing it made sense. So when the opportunity was presented, it felt like a natural fit for me, and I could talk about the different things. In recent years, we've seen a number of celebrities fall prey to not only opioid overdoses, but also fentanyl has been incorporated into a number of different pills and everything else that's going on if you're on the drug use side of the equation. We've seen celebrities lose their lives. And so it is a big issue. I just heard someone talk about it the other night in a debate. They talk about how much fentanyl is coming across the border. So if it's coming across the border in droves like they say it is, it's going to impact our lives one way or another. Either somebody that we know has had an issue with drugs or with opioid overdoses, whether it's pill form or whatever it may be. Somewhere, someone that we know is close to it. And so I would say we're probably 2 or 3 degrees separated from it, but it's close enough to where we can see it and how it impacts another person's life. And so with the Ready to Rescue campaign, we're just trying to continue to spread awareness around it. We're encouraging people to go to narcan.com to get more information on it. We also are trying to give people examples of how to utilize the product itself through the lay, stay, and spray method. Those are things that we're doing. We believe truly, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And everybody has an opportunity to impact another person's life. And you never know when your number will be called. And when your number is called, are you up for the task? And the best way to be up for the task is to have a Narcan nasal spray close by, either in your home, in your purse, in your car, wherever you want to have it at, so you can use it whenever you need it.
Absolutely. And you can go visit the tailgate that they're having tomorrow that starts at 1 p.m. That's going to be the Ready to Rescue tailgate at the game tomorrow at 1 p.m. before he heads off to dress in a yellow shirt and a fake tie and do the 2 bits. Emmitt, before we get out of here, we got 1 more minute with you. What's your expectation and what's your prediction for the game tomorrow?
It's going to be loud.
Okay.
Is it Mr. 22 bits?
That's gonna be loud.
Have we missed a marketing opportunity here?
It's
right.
gonna be 22 bits. 22 gonna do the 2 bits, and then after that, we're gonna watch hopefully a very good football game between the A&M Aggies and the Gators. Hopefully, I get to see 22 from the Aggie side get in his zone. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not, Emmitt. I hope not. Can I get one more in? Favorite running back, not you, since you left.
I hope so.
Who'd you enjoy watching the most since you left the University of Florida? He froze.
Fred Taylor, no doubt. But Eric Rhett and I played together. Eric Rhett came in right after I did, and I love Eric Red. I love his heart. I love his spirit. I love what he stands for in terms of football player. And his personality was fun to be around. He made football enjoyable. I didn't get a chance to be around Fred Taylor as much, but I loved his spirit. I loved the way he carried the ball and the way he represented himself as a football player, even in the pros with the Jags. And so those were my guys.
I love that. Well, Emmitt, we cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today. Again, everybody go check out the Ready to Rescue Tailgate tomorrow. It starts at 1 p.m. where you can learn more about emergent Narcan and how that is going to stem the lives that we have lost to opioid overdoses and the opioid epidemic. Emmitt, we thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck tomorrow to you and to your son. Not too much luck for him, but good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And if you need more information on the Narcan product, go to narcan.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emmitt. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Go. Man.